You stand there, your chest swelling beneath the stiff, fresh fabric of a uniform that still smells of starch and dye. The morning sun over Berlin doesn't just warm your skin, it ignites your soul with a feverish, borrowed conviction. All around you, thousands of jackboots strike the pavement in a single crushing pulse, the heartbeat of a rising empire. You feel magnificent. You are no longer the impoverished cobbler or the forgotten son of a peasant family. You are a fragment of destiny. The roars of Sieg Heil are not mere words, they are sonic waves crashing against your eardrums, washing away every lonely doubt. The taste of power is sweet as you look at the crowds lining the streets, the adoring eyes, the sea of outstretched arms. You don't realize that the moment you chose to merge into this tide, the first invisible string was cinched tight around your wrist. You aren't a killer yet. You are just a puppet who has finally learned how to smile, according to the script.
The euphoria of the parade evaporates in the gray, freezing mud of the training camp. Here, you are no longer a person. You are a raw material to be broken and reforged. The drill sergeant's scream is the only god you recognize now, a visceral, jagged sound that strips away your dignity until only a hollow shell remains. You learn that your body does not belong to you. It belongs to the state, to the gears of a machine that demands absolute, unthinking precision. Every muscle aches, screaming in protest as you crawl through barbed wire until your elbows bleed, but you don't dare flinch. To flinch is to be weak, and in this new world, weakness is a terminal illness. You watch your bunkmate get beaten for a loose button, and instead of pity, you feel a cold, rising anger. Not at the sergeant, but at the victim for risking the collective's safety. This is the alchemy of fascism. They break your spirit so they can replace it with a collective iron will. You aren't just wearing the boots anymore. You are becoming the metal plates nailed to their souls. Cold, hard, ready to crush anything beneath you without feeling a thing.
The first time you see them is not on a battlefield of glory, but in a damp, reeking cellar on the outskirts of a conquered town. They aren't the monsters the radio described, the subhuman beasts waiting to devour your culture. They are just a family, a father with trembling hands, a daughter whose eyes reflect the cold steel of your Mauser. Your heart skips a beat, a flicker of the old you trying to resurface. But then, your commander's hand rests on your shoulder, a heavy, paternal weight that carries a hidden threat. They are the poison, he whispers, and you are the cure. You look at your comrades. Their faces are stone, their eyes fixed on a horizon you cannot see. The silence in the cellar is louder than any artillery barrage. In that silence, you realize the hierarchy has a simple rule. If you do not become the predator, you are instantly the prey. You aren't just a soldier now. You are an adjudicator of life and death, tasked with a burden that would crush a normal man. You pull the bolt back. The metallic clack is the sound of a door closing forever on your conscience.
As you level your rifle, you don't see a child anymore. You see an obstacle. You see a target. You see the only way to prove you aren't one of them. The first shot is the hardest. The ones that follow are just physics.
The war is no longer a grand campaign. It has devolved into a rhythmic, soul-crushing routine of survival. You sit in a waterlogged trench, the stench of cordite and rotting flesh becoming as familiar as the scent of your mother's kitchen. You eat cold stew from a tin, sharing a joke with a man whose boots are stained with the blood of a village you burned yesterday. The horror has become mundane. Morality isn't a compass anymore. It's a luxury you traded for a warm coat and a pack of cigarettes. You watch your squad leader trade a captured family's heirloom for a bottle of schnapps. There is no protest in your heart, only a calculated wonder if he'll share a glass. This is the erosion of the internal guard. In the hierarchy of the mud, the only sin is to be hungry, and the only virtue is to stay hidden from the wind. You've learned to sleep through the screams of the interrogations in the barn nearby,
your conscience neatly tucked away like a forbidden letter from home. The danger here is subtle. It's the comfort you find in the chaos.
You start to realize that the uniform doesn't just protect you from bullets, it protects you from the consequences of who you are becoming. You are a ghost inhabiting a killer's body, and the most terrifying part is how easily you've adapted to the graveyard. You aren't just following orders anymore, you are anticipating them, hungry for the next task that will prove you are still useful to the machine. The hierarchy has a language of its own now, one that doesn't use words, but nods, pointed fingers, and looking away. You are no longer assigned to patrol, you are assigned to clearance. The orders arrive on slips of paper that are burned before the sun sets, leaving no trail, only a heavy, metallic taste in the back of your throat. You realize that the high command doesn't want heroes, they want accomplices. By involving you in these special actions, they aren't just using your hands, they are stitching your destiny to theirs. If the Reich falls, you hang with them. This realization doesn't make you rebel, it makes you more loyal, driven by a desperate, cornered animal kind of devotion. You find yourself standing on the edge of a ravine, the air thick with the smell of lime and damp earth. There is a strange clinical detachment in how you check your watch. Efficiency is your only god now. You notice the small things, how the light catches a discarded pair of spectacles, how the wind whistles through the empty sleeves of a coat. These aren't people anymore. They are logistical problems to be solved before the next transport arrives. The secret you carry is a physical weight, pressing down on your shoulders until you walk with a permanent slouch. You see it in the eyes of your fellow soldiers, a shared, haunted darkness. We are the architects of a silence that will last for generations. You start to drink more, not to forget, but to bridge the gap between the man who writes loving letters to his mother and the man who pulls the trigger without blinking. The transition is complete. You have moved from a soldier of the nation to a janitor of a nightmare. The danger is no longer the enemy's bullet. It is the moment of quiet reflection that you can no longer afford to have.
Apathy is not the absence of feeling, it is the calculated murder of it. You have reached a stage where the screaming of the engines and the screaming of the cargo sound exactly the same, mechanical noise to be managed. Your world has shrunk to the size of a clipboard and a tally sheet. You find yourself annoyed not by the cruelty of the tasks, but by their inefficiency. A late train is a greater tragedy than the souls it carries, because a late train disrupts the schedule, and the schedule is the only thing keeping the chaos of your soul at bay. You sit in the mess hall, chewing on a piece of dry bread, while a few yards away, a world is being dismantled. You've mastered the art of the wall, a mental barrier that separates the hand that holds the rifle from the heart that used to feel. When you look at the prisoners, you no longer see victims. You see anatomical anomalies, shapes that move and then stop moving. There is a terrifying, icy peace in this void. You no longer fear God, because you cannot imagine a God who would allow you to exist. The power dynamic has shifted. You don't follow orders out of fear of punishment anymore, but out of a perverse pride in your own numbness. To feel is to be a traitor to the collective strength. You've become an expert at the 1,000-yard stare, looking through people as if they were ghosts. The danger here is the total loss of the self. You have climbed so high up the staircase of indifference that you can no longer see the ground where human empathy grows. You are a functioning shadow, a cog that has polished itself smooth so it can turn without friction in a machine of pure, unadulterated coldness. You realize that if someone were to shoot you now, you would probably just check your watch to see if you died on time. Promotion in this world is not measured by the silver on your collar, but by the weight of the keys hanging from your belt. You have become a gatekeeper of the unthinkable. Your daily life is spent in the administrative heart of the abyss, where genocide is reduced to ink, stamps, and signatures.
You are the one who ensures the gas flows, the one who tallies the gold teeth, the one who manages the utilization of human remains. You have reached a level of power where you don't even need to raise your voice. A simple stroke of your pen can erase 1,000 names from the book of the living. The psychological danger here is the absolute intimacy with horror. You know the secrets that the world isn't ready to believe. You see the high-ranking officers, men who discuss Wagner and philosophy, tremble when they realize you hold the records of their complicity. You are no longer just a soldier. You are an archive of sin. The power you hold is intoxicating and rotting all at once. You find yourself looking at your own hands and wondering if the blood has seeped so deep into the skin that it has altered your very DNA.
The truth no one tells you is that when you hold the keys to hell, you are the first one locked inside. You are surrounded by the luxury of the elite, fine wine, stolen art, silk sheets, but everything tastes like ash. You realize that the system has built a cage for you made of your own crimes. There is no going back to the cobbler shop. There is no world where you can sit in a church and feel the sun on your face without remembering the stench of the pits you managed. You are a king of shadows, ruling over a kingdom of ghosts, waiting for the moment the gates finally burst open from the outside. The sky over Berlin is no longer blue. It is a bruised purple, choked by the soot of a dying 1,000-year dream. The grand music of the parades has been replaced by the rhythmic, bone-shaking thud of Soviet Katyusha rockets. The hierarchy is collapsing, and with it, the illusion of your divinity. You find yourself in a bunker, the walls sweating with the moisture of 100 desperate breaths. The officers who once commanded the world with a flick of a finger are now burning documents in trash cans, their faces pale, their hands shaking as they strip the insignia from their shoulders. You realize the ultimate betrayal of the system. It demanded your soul in exchange for a greatness that was always a lie. You are left holding a rusted rifle and a pocketful of stolen jewelry that no longer has a market. The power you felt at level 7 was a mirage. You weren't a king. You were just a high-functioning janitor for a slaughterhouse that is now being cleaned out by the janitors of another empire. The air is thick with the scent of cyanide and cheap schnapps. You see a young boy, no older than 12, wearing a uniform 3 sizes too large, looking at you with the same adoring eyes you once had in level 1. You want to scream at him to run, to tear off the cloth, to hide in the cellar of history. But you don't. Instead, you reach out and straighten his collar. The cycle of the puppet must be completed. As the sound of tank treads grinds over the street above your head, you realize the final, haunting truth. You didn't just lose the war. You lost the right to be remembered as a human being. When the doors finally burst open and the white light of the end floods in, you won't be greeted as a soldier or even a criminal. You will be seen as a specimen of a madness that the world will spend the next century trying to excise. You look at the pistol in your hand. It's heavy, cold, and strangely honest. The empire is gone. The Führer is a ghost in a gutter. All that remains is you, and the silence you helped build.
You realize that the greatest punishment isn't the gallows or the gulag. It is the fact that you will have to live long enough to realize that everything you did, every person you erased, was for a nightmare that couldn't even survive the spring. The 1,000-year Reich lasted 12 years, and you gave it the only eternity you had. If this story sent a shiver down your spine, hit like and follow now to uncover more of history's darkest corners. Don't let these secrets be buried. Share it.